Hey guys, it's me Patrick. Today I made a game, Pong game, which I'm gonna explain how the code works. So let me first show you the game. This is the game. Now we can move with up arrow and down arrow key for player 2, and for the player 1 we have W and S. I'm gonna play for my own since there is no player 2 over here. So in here we have the instructions. When we press G, it will start at normal speed. If we press 4, we have pause. It will pause the game. If we press 5, it will start slowly, and 6 is fast start. For example, let's start slowly at first. We have our ball moving. Now it hits, it continues. Let's speed it up a bit. So we press G, and okay, now we have here. Uh, See, it's like fine. If we press 4, it will stop. We also have score counter. Um, let's lose, so you can see the score changes. Also, if in here you can see that player number 1 has won. It restarts the game, but actually it doesn't. It just puts the ball at the middle. Yeah. And yeah, that's it. So I'm gonna go and explain the code to you. Now here is the code. We open it with code writer, for example. Yeah. And we have our HTML file. I wrote the JavaScript, like the script in the HTML file. First, let's start here. This is the Pong game, which says here, and here is our canvas position. If we don't have this, it will not stay at the middle. Um and so here is our script. Also, our canvas height and width is 800 to 600. Um so let's start. Here we have our canvas. First, we have some variables and also audio. We will use them later. Uh, and here is our objects for the ball for player 1, which is the left one, left paddle, and player 2 for the right paddle. I also mentioned it here so I don't mess up. And here is our score counter. We have our scores 0, and as we win, I was gonna say lose. As we win, the score gets like 1, then 2, then 3, yeah, adds up. And here we have our draw functions, which this is the background, and this is the, let me think, which one is this? Okay, 400 to 0. Okay, this is this line over here. Let me just remove so I can be sure. Yeah, it's the same thing. Okay. Now we have here our instructions, which is over here, and uh, this is our player 1 written at the top left, and player 2 at top right. And also this is our score, and this is where it shows the score for player number 1 and the score for player number 2. Uh, and also I made this like circle, so it would be like better looking. Yeah, and here is the our ball, which it has its color, and we mentioned the color over here. It's white, and also same for the paddles, player ones and player two. And now we get to update function part. This is the part where like ball starts moving. It increases the y data, delta, and x delta. And in here we mentioned that we had our floor and ceiling. I could just write these numbers, but this looks better. That's why I wrote floor y and sailing y. We have our variables. What am I saying? Here, so we could use, for example, for a floor y, for example, 580. It would be the same. And this is our like part which ball hits and gets back. Oh, that sounds very bad. Let me finish this. Okay. In this part, we explained that we have our impact part, which the ball like intersects the paddles. Also, I added two different sounds, which I said I will use it later here. And we have our play audio. And this is the same just for player number one. I wrote first for player number two. Let me fix this. Okay. And also I made a wall, like for example, wall R and wall right and left. The wall right is the winner part of player number one, and the wall no, on the left is the winner part on the for player number two. Okay, we have if we win like the game, it will play us a sound that you saw the sound that we played, and also it will alert player number one or number two one, restarting the game. And here is our score counter, which adds the score. And as I said, it resets the ball position and it makes x delta 0 and y delta 0 again. I'm gonna just skip this part because this is the movement part. I will come back later. Okay, starting here, we have our paddles like rules. The part that paddles, like for example, in here you can see paddles can't go up higher than this, or same for going down. And this is the rules for that. Uh, and also we have here the run function, which runs the program. We call it here. So it runs, it calls the draw, then update data, then request animation frame. And also here we have our keys, the keyboard keys, which we can get from like there are lots of sites that tell you which keys on the keyboard are uh, what numbers they have. Yeah. So let's move on. Here we added add event listener, which let's skip this part. It's the same for the movement, so I can talk about it later. Um, Here we have our that, for example, we pressed 4 and, for example, 5. It's paused, started moving slowly or like faster. I have made this keys so it can like make the y delta and x delta slower, and it can pause also the game and start with the normal speed. Now for the movement part, we could do this like in two ways. First one I did was like uh, let's say adding the movement at the event listener part, which was, for example, let's say we have our paddle one. When we press W, the paddle goes up by 10, 15, or 20. I don't know. We could do it with any number, but it wasn't smooth. And when we like hold the key, it wasn't like accelerating fast. It was very slow. It was moving very slow, then going fast. To avoid such problems, I had to add key pressing and key releasing events, which here we also added key releasing event because key up for key releasing. If we didn't add, for example, we press W, it would automatically go higher and higher, and we couldn't control at all. Um and also it wouldn't stop at all. So for that, we added this part. Also, we added the move up and down part for players, player number 1 and 2, which we later, when we like go move up and down, it updates at this part, at update function part. And yeah, guys, this is it. Uh, I hope you can write your own Pong game and have a nice day and maybe night. Good night. Yeah.